Hello and welcome to my vlog. Today I'll be talking about the new release of Snow White and the Huntsman. Now, I went to the cinema not expecting much from this film. I thought it'd be a mainly brainless action thriller, you know, little three-way romance thing for the ladies and, you know, just something to pass the afternoon. In some respects that's what we got. However, I left quite impressed. Now, the biggest thing about this movie is the visuals. They are incredible. I don't know who the visual artist on this was, but their use of playing with expectations of texture was brilliant. There seems to be this constant visual theme of textures transforming and transferring. You see it throughout, with the mirror becoming liquid, then turning from metal to liquid to almost silk. You have the Queen as she turns back from ravens into this big pile of almost crude oil and cools out in the mass of feathers, and the way they play with the milk scene where she's bathing in milk and she just rises up and it almost sticks to her like porcelain. And in Enchanted Forests, the way that animals have taken on the textures of plants. You've got bat people that are all look like wood bark, and tortoises that look like moss and logs, and it has an amazing look to it. I mean, the Queen herself, played by Charlize Theron, also looks incredible in her themed outfits, going from very much a black and gold film where Snow White goes more for a brown, dirty, white and black motif. Thematic. Now, you don't expect much from the story. It's Snow White. When I was in the cinema, someone behind me was constantly whispering, "This is so predictable." And it's Snow White. You can't expect anything new. Unless it deliberately sets out to be subversive, you're going to get the exact same story in every Snow White rendition there ever has been. That being said, the film mostly focuses on the nature of archetypes. Thematically, it's about... it's actually quite complex thematically. First off, Snow White she's often referred to in this as a Joan of Arc character by reviewers. She's not. She's Jesus. No, literally. She is born through mystical blessing of nature, and she is born to be the chosen one, to bring life to a desperate world, and she does so by martyring herself. By dying and resurrecting, she saves the world. She is Jesus. Kirsten Stewart is playing Jesus. There's also a long theme going back into the whole Queen's vanity about the nature of beauty. The Queen's beauty is entirely artificial, and she has to work like hell to maintain it, stealing it from others and constantly having to maintain her facade, because she has no natural inner beauty. Whereas Snow White, it all comes from her heart, and as such, even when she's in the mud and crawling and desperate in the dark forest, she still has a beauty to her. And it very much goes back to this whole theme of the heart, and it's just a great story. And they have this theme of nature, and Snow White being its sort of avatar, which kind of plays into the whole Disney thing of her talking to the birds and getting them to help her. In this one they take it to the fact that it's a genuine power within her to commune with spirits, and birds will help her and show her the way, and horses will naturally let her ride them. And you have this brilliant recurring motifs on blood on white, and it, you know, blood and nature become these very strong rolling motifs in this film. Now let's talk about the actors. The three big actors are, of course, Kirsten Stewart. What can I say about her? She doesn't play, much like Bella, she doesn't play a character in this, she plays a plot device. And I do find that interesting that she's gone through the exact same sort of setup. Nothing happens truly because of any action Snow White takes. Things happen merely because of her presence there. One of the big things about Bella in Twilight, I've found, is she is a plot device, and if you replace her with the One Ring from Lord of the Rings, the entire story would remain unchanged. People would still immediately become obsessed with One Ring Bella, and, you know, they would still do really insane shit for her, just like the One Ring. This film, even though it's portrayed as a much more positive thing, yes, all she does is walk from, or run or struggle or limp from one set piece to another, and characters happen around her. Although I don't have that as much issue with this, because it's not a character piece. This again is a movie getting to the heart of the central thesis and themes behind the Snow White fairy tale. What I will say is, Snow White, I know it, even though I've just stated she's meant to be an avatar, she could have done with a bit more development. Basically, she's a constant heroine in distress, although it's shown that she can be strong in tough situations, and she's incredibly loyal, and she won't abandon someone if she gives her word. She's pretty much a damsel in distress. She dies, and suddenly she becomes Joan of Arc. And suddenly she's able to fight like a fully trained knight for no reason. And it just doesn't quite work. Moving on to the real meat of the movie, Charlize Theron as the evil Queen Ravenna. She really goes for it in this role, and she has this brittle insanity to her. And she just, it's a very vaudevillian piece, but she milks it and makes the most of it. I mean, the evil queen in this is pretty much Rita Repulsa. She sends her minions one after the other in single file against the hero, and basically yells and throws a hissy fit every time they're defeated. But she's just delicious in this role. Just her insane villainy that she projects forward is brilliant. Next is Chris Hemsworth. I genuinely like him as an actor, and he pretty much, like Kirsten Stewart regurgitates Bella, he does kind of regurgitate Thor. He starts off as an arrogant, lost, drunk, arsehole, who basically redeems himself through finding purpose in a female lead. That's his thing. But he's good at it, and he can play wounded and tough and gritty, and he takes his shirt off, and it really works for him. And I have to say, I loved him in this role. Now, the bad points. There are so many plot holes in this. You do have to turn off your brain, which I don't like doing. I mean, there's the major one. Why, when Ravenna had everyone else in the castle killed, did she keep Snow White alive? Why does she not? And why, when she sends masses of guards to bring her all her victims normally, does she just send one person to get Snow White? One easily escapable person. It's just not. And again, going back to, how does Snow White suddenly know how to fight like a knight? There are just many, many, many plot holes in this movie. But then again, the original tale of Snow White itself has so many plot holes, and it's just transferring over. All in all, what I'd say is, do go watch this movie. As I say, it is a visual treat, and it's not a character piece. Don't expect it to be. But it's a wonderful exploration of the fundamental themes and archetypes held within the Snow White mythos. And it does kind of promote your thinking, and it's great to see it in a far more serious look. Now, if you want to see a much better movie with the same things, I would recommend 1997's Snow White: A Tale of Terror, starring Sigourney Weaver as the Evil Queen. And it much more focuses on the Evil Queen's descent into evil, and it really works so much better. Now, one last note. I noticed there was a lot of cuts that didn't appear in the trailer, and from what it seemed like, there seemed to be a lot of the Evil Queen's backstory that was cut out for time. I would be very interested to see if there was a director's cut of this DVD, because I get the impression you'd get much more meat in the character of Ravenna the Evil Queen and her backstory and how she became the monster that she was, compared to the desperate little girl we saw in the flashbacks of her briefly. All in all, a good film. Brilliant visuals, not great on character, but great on theme. 3 stars out of 5.